again to learn and to spend time growing spiritually together. Last week, we left off with Joseph and his family all living together in Egypt. So these people were known as the Israelites, and they were becoming a larger and larger family because they were all having children, and their children were having children, and those children were having children. So it was becoming a very large family. So we're going to fast forward ahead to 400 years. So Joseph and his brothers have all passed on. The Pharaoh that was leading with Joseph is also gone. So now we have a new Pharaoh. And this Pharaoh didn't remember Joseph, and he didn't like God's people. He made them into slaves, and he beat them, and he made them work harder and harder and harder. And God's people were crying out for help, and they needed God to rescue them. Well, God heard them, and he remembered his promise to Abraham that he would look after his people, and he would find a way to set them free. Pharaoh had just ordered that all the Israelites' male babies, male being a boy, all the boy babies had to be killed. So at this time, there was a boy, a baby boy born, and his name was Moses. Now, Moses also had an older sister named Miriam, but she was a girl, so she didn't have to be killed. But Moses' mother didn't want to kill her son, so she hid him for a very, very, very long time, but he became louder and cried louder, so at some point she couldn't keep him quiet anymore. So she quickly and quietly put together a basket. She weaved it together, and she set Moses in the basket, and she put him out in the Nile River and said, "Miriam, keep an eye on him," because she said, "I can't kill my baby." So she set him out, and Miriam watched from the bushes while Moses floated away in the Nile River. And then he came upon the Pharaoh's daughter, and the Pharaoh's daughter was bathing in the Nile River, and she seen this basket, and she said, "Oh, I wonder what's that?" And she went in and picked up this precious little baby and was like, "Oh, he must be one of their babies. Well, I want him as my own." So she took him. And then at that point, Miriam came running out and she said, "I know someone who can help you take care of him." And guess what? Moses' mother was allowed to take care of him because he was now known as the Pharaoh's daughter's son. So she was able to raise him until he was old enough to live with the Pharaoh and his daughter. So Pharaoh's daughter raised Moses as her very own son, and he became very much an Egyptian. He became like the Egyptians, and he knew their way. But deep down, somehow, Moses knew that he was a Hebrew boy, that he was an Israelite, that these slaves were his family. So one day, 40 years later, when he was 40, he tried to help the Hebrew people, or his family, by killing an Egyptian. But he had to run away after that because the Pharaoh found out about this, and he said, "Nah," and he wanted to kill him. So he had to flee from Egypt. He was afraid for his life. But God hadn't forgotten about the Hebrews or Moses. This was all part of God's master plan, of which Moses would become an important part. So Moses moved on. He made a new life for himself. He found a new family. He got married. He had children. He found a new job where he was tending the sheep with his father-in-law. And he was happy. And he was fine. And he was okay. And he was safe. One day, while he was out tending to the sheep, he saw something strange that caught his eye, and he went to go have a closer look. It was a bush, and it was on fire, orange fire, but the leaves on the tree weren't burning up. It was just not changing. It was just on fire. These flames coming off this leaves, but nothing happening. Well, that's a little strange, he thought. So he went closer and closer to have a closer look. And then all of a sudden he heard, "Moses!" And he leapt back. The bush is talking? What's going on? Right now I'm going to read from the Bible what happened. In Genesis 3, starting at verses 4. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard their crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Well, Moses questioned God right away and said, "Well, who am I? Who am I that would lead these people out of Egypt?" And God said, "Don't be afraid. I will be with you." And then Moses said, "But what if they ask who has sent me? Who am I supposed to tell them that sent me?" And God said, "I am who I am. If they ask who sent you, tell them, I am has sent you." Again, Moses questioned God. He said, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" The Lord said, "Moses, what is that in your hand?" And Moses looked and said, "Well, it's a staff." And God told him to throw it on the ground, and it became a snake. And then God said, "Moses, take your right hand and pick up the snake." So Moses picked it up, and it became a rod again. This is so that the people may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Then the Lord said, "Put your hand inside your cloak." So Moses did that. And when he took it out, it was full of leprosy. "Now put it back in your cloak." So Moses did. When he took it out, it was restored. It was like it had been fine. Nothing had happened to it. Then the Lord said, "If they do not believe you or pay attention to the first sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe those two signs or listen to you, I want you to take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take will become blood on the ground." But Moses said, "Oh, but God, I can't do this." And he made some excuses, and he said, "I have never been eloquent. I have never been good at speaking. I'm slow of speaking. I am not a great speaker." The Lord said, "Well, who gave you your mouth? Who gives you sight? Is it not I, the Lord? Go, I will help you. Speak, and I will teach you what to say." But Moses said, "Oh, Lord, please don't. Make someone else do it. I can't do this. I'm not going to." Then the Lord's anger burned, and he said, "Well, fine. What about your brother Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth, and I will help both of you speak." We can all relate to Moses, can't we, in this situation? I mean, how many times have we been asked to do something and we try to make excuses because we're afraid? Well, It's easy to make excuses, and it's easy to say, I can't do it, I'm not good enough. But guess what? You are good enough. God is with you, and he promised Moses that he would be with him. And he even sent him his brother to be there with him. God will always provide, and God will always be with you, no matter how scary the situation may be, and no matter how much you feel you can't do it. Remember that the I am who I am, the God I am, he will always be by your side, and he will always be there, and he will always protect you, help you, and be there. Well, that's all we're going to do for today. You're going to have to come back next week to find out what's going to happen. Will Moses and Aaron go to the Pharaoh after all? Will God go with them? Will the Pharaoh listen? Will he let the people go? Will the people believe? Will they escape? We'll find out next week. But for now, just remember that God is with you this week and next week and every week. He's with you. It doesn't matter what's happening in your lives. It doesn't matter if it feels like he's there or not. Remember, God is with you, and he will always be with you.